Welcome to the top 8 of the Magic the Gathering Strat League. Dr. Chris Baker DC here, rocking a familiar deck. I figured I'm going to deviate from my strategy of switching a deck every single time and just go with what I think I could win the best with right now. So I'm playing Boros Heroic, and I chose to change just a couple of cards. Decided to get rid of the Inferno Fist in the main, replaced it with Hammer Hand, just to give myself a little bit of a faster deck potentially, and added some erases to the sideboard to help deal with Hopeful Eidolon. Playing against Avery61 here. I don't think I've ever played him before. If I have, I'm not sure what his tendencies are, so I guess once you know your opponent, you could metagame against them if you know what they like to play. But I really have no clue. But yeah, let's get it going. We win the die roll. We exchange pleasantries. And how's this hand look? Pretty perfect, actually. The fact that we only have one mountain for Dragon Mantle is not a big deal. You don't really need the pump on Dragon Mantle to really break the card. Having double white is really key with this deck with the Wingsteed Rider and being able to play. If we hit a fourth land and draw God's Willing, we really want to be able to play a Wingsteed Rider and be able to hold open God's Willing as well. Okay, black-white dual land. Okay. Most likely some sort of control deck. Crusader, interesting draw. Would have been sick in our opening hand. So here, what's the play? Since we can't play Crusader plus Dragon Mantle, I'll probably just go with Jeskai Student. I do. Don't reveal the mountain quite yet. Another tap land, alright. Another Crusader, alright. Would have been even better to get that turn one because we'd have a mountain in play already. Alright, so here I don't likely play my Wingsteed Rider into Freaka's Cure, Debilitating Injury. I don't really want to target my Jeskai Student with anything. Prowess is basically heroic, except you don't need to target it to happen. So the problem with like heroic decks in the past is, you put all your eggs in one basket. If they answer that basket, then you have to start over. And when you start over, the heroic creatures aren't that great on their own, and then they're easier to kill or smaller than the average creature your opponent will have out. So it's kind of nice to be able to, play this Crusader here, immediately chosen by Heliodit. Get the trigger, get an extra damage from the student, protect our Crusader by giving it 3 toughness so his common removal spells aren't killing it, and get another extra point of damage in, so we hit him for 3. He has gained 4 life off of his land so far, though, which is quite a beating. Scholar Rathros, also quite a beating. He can gain a lot of life with that over time, so we're going to have to apply the beats as hard as we can. And I'm not suspecting any main deck Fester Glooms or anything right here, so I'm pretty interested in just getting as many creatures as I can out of this Crone Crusader. So I probably do want to play I lead with the Dragon Mantle because I want to draw a card. In Defiant Strike I don't want to lead with because then he can block with the Scholar. Mantle doesn't actually make its power bigger, but drawing a mountain is perfect. So I do get to play it. Here I'm content with attacking with both these guys because he can't kill any of my guys, and it guarantees that I get in for 2 damage, but he's scared of something. By blocking. It actually is a good no block. What's he going to do? He can block the Crusader, but Titan Strength gets him. So does Inferno Fist. Or, no, Inferno Fist would not. But I like getting the student out there as soon as possible. The other Crusader, since again, I'm not worried about Faster Gloom. Okay, so he has Disciple of Phoenix, which is his like best turn 4 play. So he just takes the Winged Steed, which is good for him because he would never be able to block it. But I assume with 5 cards still in his hand that he has like a Freak Cure debilitating injury. Now, by keeping these 2 cards, or the Defiant Strike, he lets me go off, which is great because these are the only cards that I really want to draw. I just cantrip Heroic Enablers. So I get to Chosen by Heliod, my other Crone Crusader, which protects it from getting destroyed by 2 damage spells. Drawing a land is the worst possible. But at this point, I'm just kind of all in. I figured he can only eat two guys at most, and if he does so, he's taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's fine because I'm going to do this again and potentially just like letting him sit around and play Grey Merchants and Scholar Ratharos given time is just not where I want to be. Figure I'll pump a Crone Crusader here. And now that I know my Crusader is not being blocked, I probably Defiant Strike just to get in the extra damage, because it's 3 extra damage. The Strike and the 2 Jeskai students. I miss out on 1 token, but I would have missed out on the 1 damage here, because I would have been tapped out and he would have just blocked here. So, I guess it could have been good either way. So play the land, have God's Willing open. Again, if he plays it Disciple of Phoenix, it's really annoying because he's ripping good cards from my hand. But he just goes for the Merchant, gains his 4 life, has his blockers. But again, I'm ripping like a champion here. These cantrip spells are really good because I'm just... It's like a creature, a damage, and drawing a card. And then double God's Willing. That's pretty great as well. So being at 13 is really interesting. I figure, again, I'm not going to win this game at all if it lasts any longer. So I have to attack with everybody. And he makes the same blocks. Oh, backpedals. He's about to just chump up all those, or munch, not chump, but munch, just kind of eat all those 1/1s. But instead he decides to double block this guy. Now I can pump it with 3 red mana to make it 6 power. Is that right? I already hit it with this safer stock, so 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can make it 5 power, so I can kill 1 guy. So I should order the blockers as such, yeah. Grey Merchant first. 2 more power so that I kill it. Then God's Willing my guy to give it pro black. Again, makes another guy, deals 2 more damage for the Jeskai student. Eats his Merchant for free. Wow, and I just dealt him a ton of damage. He's at 4 again, despite block. The double block there was just not that great. I guess he takes a lot of damage if he doesn't block it at all. But it's 3 toughness, so he needed to block with both in order to kill it. So he's just really boned when I have God's Willing there, and apparently nothing else is good enough. So you can see what this deck does. It goes wide with Crusaders. Drawing Crusaders is nice, and drawing Jeskai Student is really nice. It gets in a ton of damage because it's very innocuous. You don't think it's going to do very much. And then you play 1 to 2 tricks, and then you just got hit for 6 instead of 2. So when we sideboard here against black-white control, we definitely bring in Oh, one other sideboard change that I made is I think for just for this match, I brought in I brought in Last Breath, Pillar of Light. I think like 2 Last Breath, 3 Pillar of Light, and I did not bring in any Erase. Turns out what I used to have is Lightning Strike instead of Last Breath, but I figured Last Breath could kill things like Servant of Timuret, Scholar of Atheros, Grey Merchant, stuff like that. Even though I really hate the thought of them gaining 4 life, it does provide a more permanent solution, especially when they are running graveyard shenanigans with like Font of Return. So siding out is always really difficult, but definitely took out Infernal Fist. Probably some number of Chosen by Heliod. You would think to maybe take out these Acrone Crusaders because he's definitely going to bring in Festergloom. But the thing is that I just like being proactive in this format. When we have Crusader and you have free guys off it, if he doesn't have Festergloom, he's screwed. Whereas we're not screwing him that badly by not playing Crusader, and then playing something else instead. We don't want to cut our flying creatures, the Acrone Sky Guards and the Wingseed Riders, because they get past all of his blockers. But we do want to protect them if we can. But yeah, sideboarding out is hard, and it's kind of a random crapshoot a lot of the time. Probably took out Laguna Band Trailblazer as well because I don't anticipate it being able to attack on the ground, and it's not that good when you don't have Inferno Fist to pump it up. So here, this hand is not the greatest, but I figure we can go, Wilds, Mountain, turn 2, Crusader, Defiance. Have Defiant Strike open, but even that's just for the next turn. This hand's not good, but it's good enough that if we draw if we draw God's Willing or another Chosen by Heliod cantrip spell, we can kind of ride this for a little while, and then hopefully draw more creatures. Another Defiant Strike, pretty solid. So, play Wilds for Mountain. Yeah, he plays Wild on turn 1. So here, it's a little tough because we draw Plains. So my thought is he could just play Debilitating Injury, and I don't want to waste Defiant Strike. I could guaranteed draw a card, but he also could have Last Breath. So my thought is I want to play this Crusader with at least Feet of Resistance open. So that's what I do. Alright, so I draw my Last Breath. He probably has 4 and 5 mana spells. So I go for Defiant Strike. It resolves, that's good. So I'll go for another one since I still have Feet of Resistance back up. That resolves. Drawing land is not the greatest. But at least I hit him for 5, which is pretty solid for really only playing 1 card, right? I drew cantripped off all the other ones, so 1 card, deal 5. Alright, Kill Shot. Awesome. That's exactly the type of card I was hoping you would play. So I get to Feet of Resistance, my guy. Pro White, have him take 6, and then he can't Festergloom to kill everything. It would keep my other guy alive. So I figure he's most likely going to follow up with some sort of like Freaka's Cure, Debilitating Injury to kill it. But in that sense, I'll still have 3 1/1s still in play in order to, keep the beats. So he does. He plays Debilitating Injury, and he's stuck on lands, which is a rough place to be. So I got a lot of value out of those. And now I get to play another one and a Student. Still with Feet of Resistance back up in case he draws Festergloom. Get him for 3. Now there is some merit to not playing the Acrone Crusader, basically because he has to Festergloom anyway to deal with these 3/3s. But I figure it adds to the clock a little bit, and if you had it last turn, he would have played it. He wouldn't have played Kill Shot. He could have just Fester Gloomed and taken care of everything. Lo and behold, he has it. So I figure I'll save the Crusader, mainly because if I draw a cantrip spell exactly like Defiant Strike, then it just means I get to rebuild, and it's super worth it. So the fact that I did play it, and even though I lost 3 guys, if I didn't play it, this turn I would have played it, and then played Defiant Strike on it, but it just wouldn't have haste. I would still have the Feat of Resistance in my hand, though, since I would not have needed to have cast it. So I traded Feat of Resistance for having this guy in play, and having this guy in play turns out is going to deal 3 extra damage this turn, because it's a 2-point guy and it has haste when I target it with Defiant Strike. I could always target this, but you don't want to, because this is way more value. So let's see what I draw. Well, first I crack Evolving Wilds, so I'm less likely to draw land, obviously. And I draw land. So whatever. Still, he takes 6, it goes to 5. And he plays Last Breath on my guy, so that stinks. Skyguard is solid, so I don't have any way to protect it, but I figure if he has Fester Gloom, he has to play it anyway just to stop my or this presents lethal, even if he doesn't present a threat or anything. Servant of Timret. So again, this Last Breath would have been a little bit better as Lightning Strike, the way this game played out. But we draw Crusader, which is actually just game. So if you see the play, let me know. Just game, just game, just game. We can basically give this Crusader haste by playing it and then targeting it with Last Breath. He can only block 1 creature, the student, and then he will take 1, 2, and 3 from the token. Kind of a weird roundabout way to win and give this guy haste. So, something like Hammer Hand or Lightning Strike would have been a little better. But he says, good games. Hope you win it all. I said, I'll try my best. Last Breath, you own a Crowing Crusader for lethal. Interesting line, but he had 2 issues. One, just stuck on mana. Again, a lot of these powerful control decks that will take over the game, rely on 4 or 5 drops, so it could be rough. And the early card draw is Sign in Blood or Read the Bones. Not a lot of people are playing Sign in Blood, but I think it's pretty good, specifically because it costs 2 mana. So when you can keep 2 land Sign in Blood hands pretty well, but when you have like Read the Bones and Bitter Revelation and stuff, and then you draw expensive cards, you can't do anything. Or you play your 1 or 2 removal spells, just like he did. He played Last Breath, Fester Gloom, Debilitating Injury. He played 3 removal spells. The problem is that I played 1, 2, 3 cantrip spells that created 3 creatures for free, that dealt extra damage, that pumped the student for extra damage, and then I played 1 defensive protection spell to negate his sweeper from removal, so I was able to end the game up 7 cards and just be a way more proactive board. And he, even if you play Read the Bones for card advantage stuff, he'd be taking a lot of damage. So it's just tough. That's why I like this Boros deck. It has the ability to bring the beats pretty quickly and be resilient to removal, be resilient to slower cards by going wide. And that's why we see who was it? No, I can't remember. So whoever just won the last SPDC event won with a mono white token deck. My Galaxy. And it's kind of the same theory, just kind of playing one drops and everybody else is playing tap lands. Who cares if they gain a life? You can just bash through them. You're making tokens, pumping tokens, gaining life and flying, evasion, flying, pumping, giving guys evasion, protecting them, tokens, pumping them, tokens, protecting them. Every single thing is proactive and, very powerful because it's a very streamlined strategy that isn't super popular right now, so there's not that much hate against it. And I think that's like a really good take on what to be doing in this format. Just trying to kill the opponent as quickly as possible and diversifying your threats as much as possible to blank removal and kind of say, hey, treasure cruise and card advantage control decks, you take a while to get online, so I'm just going to beat down quicker than you can deal with. So that's the top 8. Next week, hopefully within the next day or two, play against Bava in the semifinals. So good games, and thanks for watching.